guys, welcome to Council Comments. We are here with our Ward 5 Council member, Mr. Jamie Cole. How you doing?
Hey Nicole, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I like your colors today that you have on.
Thanks. Go Warriors.
All
Always.
right, go Warriors. I'll take it. Okay, we've got some fun stuff. I love talking to Jamie because Jamie, you got the creativeness going on. You've got that creative side of you, and you are very involved in the arts. We've got Jubilee coming up, and this is your thing, right?
Yeah. One neat little thing that happened, and this was happenstance, is that when this team was elected back in 2020, we do all kind of have our little lanes.
Yeah, you do.
So this has been fun, and to be able to bring something new and different to Alabaster, and to have those folks that work with me on the council to agree to increase arts funding, and we're starting to see some of the results of that. Over the last year, for instance, we've had the Alabama Symphony down here for the first time since they started back after COVID. We've been able to fund some music education programs in town. We're still doing Arts Council scholarships, and we had one of our biggest city fests ever back in June, which was really exciting. And Alabaster Jubilee is another example of what increasing arts funding has allowed us to do here. We did it at Thompson High School last year. We're moving it to the green space over by the Siluria Water Tower, and we'll talk more about that space here in a minute.
Okay.
But that's going to be the new home for this event, and we're focusing on welcoming local and regional artists. City Fest is kind of for big national touring artists, and this one's more for local. So Otha Richardson, who's very much a staple in our music scene here in Alabaster and in Shelby County, is bringing his jazz outfit, Take 7. The M80s, the rock tribute band that actually originated here in Alabaster, has been playing for decades. They're going to do an afternoon set. And then we're really excited about our 7 o'clock artist. My wife and I grew up in Florence before we moved to Alabaster 2 decades ago. And this guy has been around Alabama music for a long time, John Paul White. Great singer-songwriter, was half of the Civil Wars back in the day, and is just an incredible Nashville musician, and is based in Florence, Alabama. So we're going to have him down to do our 7 o'clock set for Jubilee. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. So people can bring chairs, just hang out. It's just a good time to enjoy.
Yeah, so being in that green space, there won't be any permanent seating there. We're going to set up a stage, and just kind of like how we used to do jazz in the park a few years ago. Just kind of bring a chair, bring a blanket. There'll be some food trucks there, and you can enjoy an evening of music.
And tell us when that is again.
So that's October 22nd,
Okay.
And it starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it'll go until about 9 o'clock that night. We still have great sponsors like Central State Bank and Coca-Cola, and of course the Arts Council has great volunteers that help run it. But the city really puts a lot into this, not just in dollars, but in time, and more specifically overtime. A lot of people really work hard to pull something like this off, and now we're hosting it on city property. So, that makes it takes it up a whole other level as far as the city's involvement. So we're really proud to help fund this.
I think this will be a wonderful thing to come out, enjoy. The weather hopefully will be lovely,
and
nice and
hopefully
fall-like.
that time of year. Yep.
Enjoy some music for sure. Now, you've got some info for us. We heard talk of an amphitheater being built over in that area. Give me some inside info.
Yeah, so that green space will soon become a new arts facility, and this is really, really exciting. When people think about amphitheater, we think about Pelham on the high end, on the big end,
right?
And then a lot of people have seen like small stages in parks. They're kind of a permanent stage. Ours is going to be somewhere kind of in the middle of that. We're going to have a beautiful new permanent stage with green room facilities for people who play and understand venues like this. That's a really big deal. Lots of load-in space behind. We're really designing it with artists in mind. And then we'll have some tiered kind of grass levels out in front of it.
Yeah.
So, that'll all be redesigned so you can bring your own seating, your own blankets, all that stuff, and still have a good view of the stage. Along with that, we're going to do some new stuff around the senior center that'll kind of support that area. So there'll be new restrooms there, some new meeting space. It's a really big project that really shows our dedication. We want to have this area where local artists can use a venue, organizations that might want to get outside their four walls and be a part of the community, and then host events like Jubilee, like the Symphony, like our water tower lighting every year.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of stuff we're going to get to use that venue for, and we're still going to try to keep it, appropriate to that space and keep a green space feel around that historic water tower. So
that
really
sounds
neat.
absolutely amazing.
It's going to be great.
Could you guesstimate when that might kind of start?
It's in the budget for next year.
Okay.
So, my goal, I never, the way things go, supply chain stuff, and all the stuff we've had to deal with this year, I'd never make any kind of promises like that. But I'd love to have a shovel in hand, sometime in 2023.
I like it. Okay, that sounds really good to me. Now, speaking of shovel in hand, we need some information on the purchase of the TIS/old THS property.
Yeah. So everybody kind of knows where that is. I don't, whatever you remember it as, the old high school, the old intermediate school, right there on the corner of 119 and Thompson Road. We are very close to the closing date. Just like you're, buying your house. We're about to close on that.
Okay.
The city school system will still have their central office there for a while. We've got a use agreement with them. They're going to be building a new facility for their offices, but it will still be housed there. There'll still be a few other things that ACS will use that property for. But as soon as we close on it, we're going to start working on some aspects of it immediately.
Awesome. So,
Larry Simmons Stadium for a long time was sort of our football stadium for the school.
Yes.
And all that. We're going to be changing that to a city facility. So you'll see work starting at least on Larry Simmons as soon as we close on the property.
Okay.
And then, of course, over time, that's going to be the site for our new rec center in Alabaster, because we're dedicated, as always, to the best in parks and recreation, but also from the arts and education side, it's going to be the site of our new library. So a lot of exciting things happening on that corner.
It really is. That area over there, police station, new amphitheater, everything is just that's going to be the heart of the city right there, and I absolutely love it. It's right in the middle, so it's perfect.
Yeah, there's a retail center on the interstate. That's just great thought, great planning. And then this is really sort of planning to be the residential center of the city, and right in the middle of where all our neighborhoods and parks and schools are, so that's really exciting.
Okay, I can't wait. Patience from us, right? We're excited, we get excited about this news, but we know it is a process, will take a little bit of time, so we're very excited.
Yeah.
Can you just give me some updates on, there is so much moving and shaking going on. We've got 119, police station, all that. Give me some updates.
Yeah, you mentioned the police station. This has been one of those projects that was kind of started during the pandemic, has sort of weathered all of these supply chain issues. I mean, we're down to stuff like, sourcing doors for the interior and all that kind of stuff, finding the glass panes that are supposed to be there. We are still shooting for having that thing open by the end of the year.
Okay.
And so that's really, really exciting. The previous administration was very involved in that. The person in the seat before me, Russell Bedsole, this was a huge project of his. I know he's excited about it now, one of our House representatives. So hoping that that's done by the end of the year.
Okay.
119, that widening is still happening. We're getting into the thick of that now. The only thing I'd say about that is just remind people, take a little bit of extra time as you're moving around town, especially headed south. Those lights are set and working about as efficiently as they can in a situation like this. I know it can be frustrating, like you said, but it does mean progress. So we are making progress on that.
And there's we're seeing progress. I drive up and down every day during that area, and there's progress that we're seeing almost daily at this point. So I know it is frustrating. Find some alternate routes. There's plenty of ways you can go around if need be.
That's right. And I would say if you're taking alternate routes, be careful through the neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
Observe the speed limits, all that kind of stuff. Observe the stop signs. I will say that that has been an issue at times. We kind of have to dodge trains around here too.
We do.
So keep that in mind as you're moving through neighborhoods, and if you don't, that could hit you in the pocketbook.
Very, very good word there. Very good word.
Yeah.
District 31, did we see a sign go up?
There is a sign on the highway. That's as far as we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But you can almost see the architecture and what that first phase is going to look like. So there is a sign out on 119. So yeah, we're excited to see that develop.
Okay, more to come.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for sure, right? Now, budget. You guys are approving the budget or have already approved it?
So we have, of course, been working on it for months.
Right.
John Haggard and his department in finance have been working on it. The mayor and our council president have been looking at it for a long time. We've seen it. We know what all's there. Obviously, we've got a lot of capital improvements that we're going to be looking at starting in 2023, and of course, our regular city budget. All that is on the URL that you see on the screen now. That's something that you can go look at and peruse. Certainly, if you have questions about it, they're get in touch with your elected official in your ward, and let's talk it over. But a lot of exciting things happening, and looking at that budget is the best way to kind of see what the aspirations are. So all that's public, and yes, we will be voting on that before the month is out.
Okay, big stuff there. You always love to end with recycling, and this I think is a very important thing that you're going to talk about concerning recycling. So listen up. Let's go, Jamie. Tell us.
Yeah, when I ran for office, it was something I was really passionate about. My family and I have a background in recycling. A lot of our residents were asking me about it. It was something that was really concerning because we had just stopped doing the curbside piece when we were running for office. So, but we have an incredible public works department. I'm really honored to serve on our elected officials public works committee. The department presented to us both their budget presentation to the full council, and then we had a public works committee meeting Monday. Mark Harris, one of the best in the world, we're just really fortunate to have him, and he showed me receipts from recycling and invoices, and it's really deflating news, unfortunately, but we're in the situation now where the contamination in the recycling bin is costing us more than the recycling itself. Okay. So, and I know the people that take their recycling out to Limestone Park and take the time to do that, those are the people that want to be good stewards and want to do it right. So if we can kind of help out, there are probably a couple of things that could help us get that contamination down a little bit, just to think through. Other than the stuff that's posted, and that's on my Facebook page. It's also on the city's website, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But two kind of tips that we can maybe help get it down a little bit. It's better to just dump stuff into the bin instead of bagging it where sorters can't see what's inside the bag, because you really can't tell what's contamination if you can't see it, and they're not going to open up bags and go through, sort through them. The other thing is number 1 and number 2 plastics only. And that sounds like a hard thing to determine, but there are little recycling symbols on almost everything that's manufactured these days, especially on plastics. Like if you look on a water bottle, you see the little recycling symbol and there's a number in the middle of it. If that number is 1 or 2, those are good to go. Anything else they can't take because there's no market for it. So an example of that is, like, I think number 3 plastics are on a lot of detergent, like laundry detergent bottles.
Okay, that's good to know.
And so you can look and see what yours is, but they can't take that kind of stuff because there's nowhere to sell it. There's nowhere to, there's no market for it. So 1 and 2 plastics only. Probably those 2 things can help us get a lot of the contamination down. So appreciate you asking about that every time. It's something I'm passionate about. A lot of Ward 5 residents are taking their stuff out there, and I think that those 2 things, will help us kind of get some of that contamination down.
Awesome. Thank you for that information, for sure. All right, you think we covered it?
Well, one last thing.
Tell me.
We have this campaign called Think Outside the Trash. So we're popping a QR code up here so that you can scan it right here on your screen, or go to and that will take you to the website, the city's website, that tells you more about recycling and where we are now.
Okay.
And so people who are really passionate about it, like me and my neighbors, that's a really good resource. So think outside the trash, scan that QR code, and you can find out how you'll be good to go.
I love it. Jamie, thank you so much. I love the insight that you bring.
Thanks.
I do want to talk a little bit. This is your thing as well, right? This beautiful Alabaster Connection magazine.
Our PR and marketing committee works on that. Yes, ma'am.
Love this. And I did want to mention that Alabaster Living has a beautiful ad and article in here. And guys, if you haven't already, make sure on your Roku or Fire Stick that you download Alabaster Living TV. You can watch all of the stuff that's going on in the city, new businesses, real estate, and more on the big screen. So go download that if you haven't already. But we will see you next month on another Council Comments brought to you by the City of Alabaster.